rapists of Bilkis Bano, who were released on Independence Day, were released with the approval of the centre and despite opposition from the CBI and a special court. They were released in a one-page go-ahead note. This is that note that actually released them less than 2 weeks after the centre was approached by the Gujarat government. How could the rapists involved in one of the most horrific attacks during the Gujarat riots get off like this? Now, for those who have forgotten, let's remind you. Bilkis Bano was just 21 years old and pregnant when she was gang raped by a mob that killed several members of her family, 14 members, including her 3-year-old daughter, whose head was bashed in with a rock. Her family had been hiding in the fields as violence swept the state following the attack on the Sabarmati Express, in which 59 car sevaks died. The level of their atrocity had brought Bilkis Bano the highest ever compensation in a rape case: a job, a house and 50 lakh rupees awarded by the Supreme Court in 2019. The convicts were sentenced to a life term in jail by a special court in Mumbai, which was later upheld by the High Court. On the show tonight, petitioners in the case who wanted to know how Bilkis was released, her lawyer, as well as those defending the men who walked away. We've got a lot coming up on this 1-hour special on NDTV of Left, Right and Centre. Later on the program, we'll be looking at Saurav Ganguly and the ICC, why he couldn't get a chance over there, but that's later on. For the moment, let's just go straight across to Mahua Moitra, who joins us. She has been one of the petitioners in this case, wanting to get to find out more about what exactly took place, which resulted in these men being released in the manner in which they were. Mahua, the offence was heinous, grave and serious and deserved no leniency, is what the CBI had said last year. Despite this, these men were released. What does that say?
It actually says what we've been saying all along, and had we not filed this fresh writ petition, all these facts, this documentation as to exactly what happened, how it happened, the timeline, who was responsible, would never have come into the public domain. So this 500-page affidavit, there are 3 things that stand out. The first thing, Vishnu, is that it is very clear from the affidavit that the agencies, so namely the CBI and the courts, by the special court judge, Anand Yavalkar, were in complete opposition to this decision. The CBI, as you said, has said that it deserved no leniency. The judge said it's the worst kind of hate crime, and Justice Salvi, who was the judge prior to this, has also gotten on record saying that this was the worst kind of hate crime. Yet, in spite of that, we have the centre's letter signed by the Joint Secretary, Minister of Home Affairs, on the 11th of July, saying that we are approving concurrences given to the premature release of these convicts. Now, the point is, when the CBI is saying no and the court is saying no, what is the discussion that led between the Gujarat government and the central government that led to bypassing the CBI completely and bypassing the court's opinion completely? That's the first thing. That's what needs to be brought in. The second thing is, if you read that letter, the central government has given a bulk remission order to all 11 convicts. There is no independent application of mind for each convict. Now, so when you look at settled law, there is a bunch of judgments, Supreme Court Dilmaru Ram, which is the most oft-quoted judgment, but there are a bunch of judgments which is settled law, that in each of these cases, independent application of mind has to be made.
In fact, the same lines have been copied in every case. It's a cut and paste job.
So you can't do that. Right. So for example, I can say that, my wife has cancer, I want to be out. Somebody else can say I'm 80 years of age. But for all 11 convicts, you can't have a blanket order. So that's the second thing which stands out, that there is no independent application of mind, and each accused's application has not been dealt with separately. This is a very, very serious flaw in it. The third thing is that the application actually shows, if you read it, it says that even this 14 years was only notional. If you take into account the parole and the furloughs, the average time spent in prison was only 10 years.